Alright, what is up guys? I'm gonna show you how to make some Brostep, and here's what I made. Absolutely filthy. So my inspiration for making this was like that kind of old school 2018 to 2020 Brostep sound. I mean, I don't even know why I call it old school. It's not that long ago. It's just making me feel old. But this includes like guys like Riot, Virtual Riot, Zomboy. So I have these reference tracks. That stuff, like, I feel like dubstep nowadays is not as creative as it used to be. Like that, oh my god, the synths and everything, it just sounds so good. So that was my inspiration for sound design. So I wanted to learn how to make stuff like that. So I'm gonna show you guys how I made this drop. And so I was just like working for hours on these synths. So I'll break it down one by one. So we have this one, which is sort of like a background, and you can see we resampled it to audio. So here's what it sounds like in MIDI. But here, you know, when I was resampling it, I was automating it, and that's a cool trick you could do, by the way. Like, you could basically, you know, create a new audio track, turn on resampling, arm them both, so control and click to arm them both, solo them both, and then when you record, just press it on your keyboard. And if I go in here, make any changes to the speed, it records all of that, and then it's just way easier to chop it up instead of creating a bunch of like speed automations. So that's what I did here. So if we dive into this, just undo that. And if we dive into this, this is a sort of like a yai bass sound that I dragged in the wavetable on oscillator A. And you guys could, like, you know, look at it and copy, pause the video, see what I did. You could do this with pretty much a lot of different waveforms. But I have the FMing from B. And so, like, without that, so I got all these macros as well, and I'm gonna put the downloads for these on my Patreon if you want it directly. Besides that, here are the effects, and here on LFO2, this is all pitchy stuff. So LFO2 is controlling the coarse pitch of oscillator B and the coarse pitch of oscillator A. So without that, something like this. And with it, here's doing some stuff here. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, you can even like you could change around with LFO shape, do some really cool stuff. Now, the interesting things about this patch is that you'll notice the voices are on 16 voices for both on unison. So this gave me a lot of like detuning. And when you turn randomization down, which I did, and you go to global and turn the width down, it creates this very like lasery phase effect. So if I turn this up without it, that's what it sounds like. But then with it, especially when the first note plays and triggers, you hear that, it's like that phase. So and then, you know, when you turn the width down, it doesn't really work like that. If you turn it up, sorry, I mean, if you turn it up, it doesn't really give you that same effect. So when you turn it down, it gives you that filtery, like phasing, pitchy thing, whatever that is. I have a macro that controls the amount of detune, And the chunk, which is basically the mix of this high bandpass, I have this controlling the phaser mix. And then I open, and open macro is basically controlling how much the level is on. Because if you have it all the way, then it's like there's basically no movement with the LFO shape. So default is down, gives it a tighter, cleaner effect. Then we got this rack as well. I'm also going to put this for downloads on my Patreon. I'm going to put this whole project file on my Patreon, by the way. So that's without the rack. This rack is basically adding OTT compression. So this is really cool. Like I said, you could change the speeds. Normally in MIDI, I like to map the velocity to the LFO rate. And I guess it's just on LFO 1. So I learned that from AU5. And it's really easy because, you know, instead of creating automation, you can go into MIDI, create the type of pattern that you want. And so, like, you know, we'll make this one like long, this one fast. And then we could, you know, make this one even faster. So that's really cool stuff. So basically that's how I did this, and I will mention this on basic shapes, analog basic shapes. You can change the wavetable position. So I'm put pulse width modulation. That's what PWM means, and the sub is on as well, giving it a sub layer. So I basically just cut it up a bunch wherever I thought would sound good, and here is the rest of the stuff. That is definitely that, you know, Riot and like Zomboy inspired, like screechy sound inspired by those reference tracks. I was going one by one through those reference tracks, and I was like, how can I make something sound like this? So this also has my spice rack. Spice. So I'm gonna keep that on just because it sounds better with it. And first we have this, and so like this is just kind of like a vowel growl, and this was inspired by that type of sound. So this, if we open this up, this is a Virtual Riot wavetable. But you know, like I said, generally you can use whatever wavetable you want. You can even drag basses into here and create a wavetable out of that. But this is, you know, LFO 10 is doing most of the work here on the sub, the levels of A and B, FM from B. Got a low notch filter going in opposite directions, giving it that vowel-y sound. And then here we have a little bit of formant, and I have this controlling the mix of the formant. So you can make it more formanty if you want to. LFO 2, this is doing all the pitchy stuff. So basically it's just a little like triangle curve at the beginning, just controlling the coarse pitch of both. So without that, it does add a little bit more movement. Pretty cool. You can even like change this. Yeah, so you could do that. FM from B, wavetable position. Now these are on unison 10, and this is like a macro that controls the phasing, like the randomization of the phase. So when you turn it down, oh, sorry, when you turn it up, you get more of that effect, like in the last sound. So yeah, all the way up gives you that phase effect. And then, you know, these, I actually didn't turn the width down. So if we did, you would get more of a mono, but phasey type of sound. So that's really cool. Controlling the speed on LFO 1. We can also put that in LFO 2 if we want. And then open, this is controlling the cutoff. So that gives it more of a open sound. Cool, so that's that. And then we have this. That's one of the main sounds in this, like a very screechy sound. This is basic shapes. These are both basic shapes. This one's a sine wave on oscillator B, and this one is a square wave. And yep, I just remember I could zoom in with my mouse, so that's pretty cool. So LFO1 controlling the level and kind of controlling like the high pass in reverse. So without oscillator, sounds like that. Honestly, that sounds dope. Here are our effects. We have it controlling the combs. The combs is giving it that pitchy effect. It's the combs. We have multiband compression with the gain turned up. And yeah, so like sub. This is without any of the effects, so that combs is definitely carrying. Okay, and then oscillator B. This is interesting because LFO2 is controlling the coarse pitch. Once again, that's the general thing I like to do. I have it on a separate LFO. You could just change the pitch without changing the level. So we have this controlling the coarse pitch and the sync going backwards. The sync's going down as the LFO goes up. And I have a macro called pitch that's changing how much the LFO is affecting the coarse pitch. So we turn that down. Get more of a tonal, less pitchy sound. You turn it up. It's pretty crazy. Tightness, this is controlling the LFO. It's controlling these two points on the LFO on the x-axis. So yeah, so this one's controlling the curve and the x-axis up here. So you could turn this up. It gives you more of like a just tighter effect. You even get some cool effects if you go in the middle. So that's cool too. And then speed is controlling the rate of both of these. So here in the project, I actually did the the basic automation method, automating the macro. Then we have wet, and this is controlling the reverb and the chorus here. Sometimes there's a lot of reverb in like these songs on these screechy leads. So that's the Zomboy synth right there. And then we have this one. And this is actually a variation of this. So I'll just show you guys this one. This one's inspired by like that right here. And also it's very pitchy. That's right here, and this is a LFO on this coarse pitch, FM from B, both on basic shapes, also on the sync, also on the noise to give some noise, and a little bit of a high cut to make room for the sub here, which is also being modulated. Here are our effects, and this was probably the simplest patch to make. There's not anything too crazy going on here. Change the basic shapes. Kind of even like this one better. Like this one, I kind of went in here. It was a sine wave, and I just added some harmonics on the highlighted ones. Just give it like a brighter sound. You could definitely mess with the FM from B, and also the levels turn up on this too. So there you go. That is basically that one. So yeah, pretty cool. I have this macro controlling the detune, and also like the wetness of the hyper dimension mainly the hyper part. There you go. So that's pretty cool. All right, moving on. Then we got this variation, which is almost the same patch. I just made this a shorter speed or a longer speed. I drew in three different curves here. So it's going 1 to 1, and I think that's the only difference here. Oh yeah, this one's actually Combs filter. There we go. Yeah, so this is doing a lot of the pitchy stuff, and looks like LFO 1 is actually on the coarse pitch here. LFO 2 is just controlling the tones, and you could also change this. I'll give you some cool effects. And then, like I said, you could resample this, make a bunch of different versions, mess with the speeds, and get a really cool audio file out of this. Even I like to when I'm doing sound design, sometimes lately I've just been having fun just messing with these shapes and creating like a bunch of like ones of this. Or, if I play a note. Oh. And then I might just resample that. Let me put it back to what it was. That's not the exact one it was. I think I lost it, but that's okay. That's basically what I did. And then we have this one. And this one was inspired by like this type of sound by Virtual Riot. Such a good song. So here, I just imported like a drum that I had as a wavetable, and FM from B. I put this on sync window, turned it down. See everything I did here. LFO2 is controlling the coarse pitch of B and the comb filter. And I even have a macro controlling the comb filter, the wetness and dry. So it gives it more of like a little bit of a different pitch effect. And then 3 is on the master tune. So to do that, I had to go into the matrix and go to LFO 3, destination, global, master tune. So it's changing the pitch of the whole thing. And you can even that one's even off. So if I turn that on, and get some even cooler pitch effects. Yeah, so this is really fun to mess around with, and I always like to mess with the octaves. And like I said, the LFO shapes, mess with these. So there's so much you can do with these. That's essentially the whole drop here. So that's pretty cool. Took me a while to make these sounds, but this one actually didn't take that long to make. This one up here. And then I have this one is the sub is on, a little bit of a notch here. And then this whole group has the sub being cut off. So that way we're only getting the sub from this. Always keep your subs just single. This also has, like I said, the whole rack on it. So yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with how it came out. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you find this useful. And link in the description if you guys want to download the project file for this and get the presets. So yeah, peace.